Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in this evening video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. Then we'll go through the weather warnings, as we do have some heavy snow potentially in parts of the north, and then we'll have a look at the UKMO Operational Run, precipitation and temperature, and then we'll have a look at the long-term outlook with the GFS, GM, ECMWF, GFS and ECMWF Ensembles. As middle of next week, it looks like high pressure is going to be starting to take more of an influence, and that could dictate what happens towards the second half of January, whether it stays mild and westerly or turns increasingly colder. So have a look at that in detail towards the end of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to follow on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Also check out the podcast I launched earlier, and of course channel memberships as well, as you get exclusive access to that early. So we do first have a look at the live radar. You can see the showers have very much decreased over the last sort of 6 hours or so as higher pressure is toppling. It's going to mean, though, temperatures are going to plummet tonight. Clear skies for many, really quite cold upper air temperatures. Widely, temperatures will be down to -2, 3 or 4 degrees for many areas. Rural areas could be much lower than that. -10 degrees could be possible in a few locations. So it's going to be really quite cold. There are still a few isolated showers here or there, but of course the wind is starting to die down a little bit, so those showers are less frequent. We'll also have a look at the past 24-hour snowfall. And you can see actually where we did our predictions yesterday, have a look at where the most likely areas for snowfall were pretty much bang on, really. Wales and parts of northwest England into West Midlands, a few patches in the southwest, and then Northern Ireland and northern Scotland. Got quite a bit of snow actually in a few locations. You can see very localised, these intense amounts. Parts of northern Wales saw quite a bit, and then you go like 20-30 miles southwards or eastwards, and very little. So it was really localised, these showers, as ever with convection, but some areas have got a bit of a covering at the moment, and I'm expecting most areas to wake up tomorrow really quite cold with a frost. So it does look like we could be waking up to a bit of a white morning tomorrow for many with that frost around. So we do now have a look at the latest weather warnings. They have been updated, as there could be quite a significant snow event for some in the north and the west. Again, you can see it is mainly going to be over the higher ground. We have a widespread yellow and ice warning from 8 p.m. tomorrow until 11 a.m. on Friday. Frequent sleet, hail and snow showers may lead to some disruption to travel during Thursday night and Friday morning, and that's for the showers that are coming behind the initial weather fronts. So those showers will likely be falling to lower levels more widely than over what we're going to be seeing with the weather front that moves through, as it's got a milder sector within it. You can see Thursday evening and overnight, we could see a fresh covering of snow for areas above 200 metres, mainly around 2 to 5 centimetres. Quite decent coverings, and possibly as much as 10 centimetres. So it could be disruptive over high ground where showers are most frequent. Falling snow below this level may cause some temporary slushy accumulations. So to low-lying areas, of course, could be some slushy accumulations, which then may freeze and cause dangerous icy patches. Winds will be gusty around heavier showers. Then there is a risk of lightning strikes from isolated thunderstorms in some coastal districts. So could be seeing some thunder snow, and I know we saw a little bit of thunder snow across the far north of Scotland over the last 24 hours, and we could be seeing some more potentially throughout tomorrow evening into Friday. So if you're on these spots, you could be in for quite a lively next sort of 48 hours with a lot of rain, sleet and snow around, and potentially some thunder snow as well. Now we have had this yellow warning put in force. It's from 10 a.m. tomorrow until 4 p.m. So it precedes the secondary snow and ice warning, and you can see it just goes down the spine of Scotland, northern England into the North Midlands over higher ground. Snow may cause some travel disruption over higher routes. A band of rain will move eastwards across the UK during Thursday, with this likely to fall as snow for a time, particularly over hills. Many places will see 1 to 2 hours of snow, with a risk of temporary slushy accumulations above 100 to 150 metres per snow, leading to difficult travel conditions. Again, they say potentially slushy conditions to 100 to 150 metres, because I do suspect it will turn back to rain for at least a time on its back edge, which will mean lower lying areas that snow either gets washed away or isn't as significant. However, a long period of snow is expected over higher ground, with 2 to 5 centimetres likely over 200 to 300 metres and 10 to 15 centimetres over 400 metres. So the highest routes could be some big disruptions. As I said, could be quite a decent snow event over higher ground. Not too unusual for this time of year, but considering what we've had recently, it is a bit of a change. Friday, we still have that snow and ice warning, of course, that we had a look at. Now, if we do have a look at the precipitation and temperature from the UKMO Operational Run, see what we're going to be seeing over the next few days. You can see those showers earlier today pushing through, but they have reduced quite significantly. And you can see over the course of this evening quite a fair dry night. A lot of clear skies across England, Wales and Scotland, which is going to drop those temperatures down significantly. For the early hours, clouds start to build from the west and a weather front bumps in to that colder air. And by around rush hour tomorrow morning, far western areas could start to be getting that rain. Now, across the Republic of Ireland, it will mainly fall overnight, especially across Northern Ireland as well. Overnight, maybe rush hour could see the back edge of the rain and potentially a bit of hill snow. But the main snow risk will be across parts of Wales, Northern England and Scotland, again, primarily over the higher ground, but to low-lying areas for a couple hours, of course. And then, as I said, on this back edge could turn back towards rain for most lower-lying areas, and again, could be a little bit disruptive that as it moves through tomorrow evening before things turn drier temporarily for wintry showers pack in behind. You can see a lot of these showers are wintry of nature inland, so even to low-lying areas, wintriness, hail, sleet, snow, growlpool sort of showers. So a bit of a big mix of wintry conditions, and of course these heavier showers in the west coming in off the Atlantic with the really quite cold air mass, a lot of unstable air, and that's where we could see, of course, a bit of thundersnow maybe. That continues through early hours of Friday, for eventually over the course of Friday these showers do die out as we see low pressure once again arrive in from the west. Could be once again some more significant snow over higher ground, could be seeing a warning put in force for that, but we'll have to keep an eye on that over the next few days for rain. Turns things a bit milder once again, but still a bit of snow over the higher ground, and we see repeated weather fronts moving in early next week before high pressure looks like it's going to be taking back control. Now, over the next few days, we're going to have quite a bit of up and down temperatures, but it is looking pretty chilly, especially over the next few days. You can see last night really quite cold, but tonight is going to be even colder. Temperatures peaked today around 4 to 6 degrees, but I suspect that was mainly in towns and city centres. Rural areas got a couple degrees above freezing, if that. Over the course of the evening, you can see temperatures dropping rapidly. Really cold across Southern Ireland, Northern Ireland, but as that weather front approaches, it brings up those temperatures quite considerably. So even though there's a frost, maybe around sort of 11 p.m, midnight tonight, by the time you wake up in the morning, most areas will be above freezing with rain falling. But across England, Wales, Scotland, it is looking bitterly cold. Central England, in around the London area, maybe excluding the centre of London, -3, -4 degrees, widely, really cold. And of course, rural areas could get even colder than that. -6, 7, 8, or even -10 is possible in a few sort of frost hollows. Now, beyond that, temperatures do rise throughout Thursday as weather front moves in, but for many areas, especially in the east, only around 3 or 4 degrees. As the weather front moves through, it temporarily brings temperatures up to maybe 6 or 7 before it drops them down once again through Thursday night to around 1 2 degrees freezing for many areas further northwards and westwards, and of course showers turning wintry through Friday morning. And another very cold night on Friday, widespread frost once again, freezing. But by the time we wake up on Saturday, milder air is pushing back in. So things are looking milder before another colder sector moves through. As I said, temperature is going to be really up and down. And by Monday, big mild sector to our west before things turn maybe drier for the middle of next week as high pressure builds in. So we do now have a look at what is going on with the GFS. Now, the GFS has only got out to 228 hours at the moment. So we'll have a look at the 6Z for the longer term outlook as I'm recording just as the 12Z comes out, but it comes up to the reliable time frame of just before 10 days at this stage. So we do run it through. You can see, again, cold polar maritime air masses moving through over the next few days. Really quite chilly upper air temperatures. And we see considerable snow for some over the next few days before high pressure starts to build around Tuesday, Wednesday next week. But it's where this high pressure goes. That's the big uncertainty. A lot of these models are trying to get it to ridge northwards, and you can see on this latest GFS, it actually tries to get towards Greenland. Now, it's not going cold at this stage. You can see it's still relatively mild upper air temperatures. Towards the surface will be quite chilly, but you can see cold air is poised to our north to move in. All depends on where the high pressure is going. Now, I wouldn't take a single run literally beyond around day 8, day 9 at this stage, because I can promise you there's going to be some bitterly cold runs. There will be some sort of beast from the east runs. There will be some bitterly cold northerly winds. that's what you get when you get one of these big high pressure systems that's trying to move northwards. At this stage, it is uncertain, as we'll have a look with the ensembles in a minute. There definitely is a trend for colder conditions towards the second half of January, but in what capacity, that is the big uncertainty at this stage. For example, if we do have a look at the 6Z run, you can see vastly different. That high pressure is not reaching as far northwards, and if we do run it through, you can see just stays over top of the UK, inversion, some bitterly cold air going towards Europe with that high pressure ridging over Iceland, and then right towards the end of the run, we could be seeing a bit of a Scandinavian high building, so a bit of a difference there. And if we go back to the 6 o'clock run from last night, big Scandinavian high, bitterly cold air beginning to be brought in from the east. So you can see there are big differences between the GFS runs at this stage. So I wouldn't take any of them too literally, but the general theme is for about 7 days' time, high pressure to take firm control over the UK, and by around day 10, so the beginning to turn into the unreliable time frame, quite unreliable time frame, we're seeing that high pressure try to ridge northwards. But where does it ridge? That's the big uncertainty at this stage. It could get flattened off by the jet stream, that's a real possibility, or it could penetrate the jet stream. There are signals, of course, for more amplification. There are climate drivers trying to turn things a little bit colder. There's once again this battleground between the jet stream and these high pressure blocking systems. And if it does come off, we could be going much colder for the second half of January. But of course, I don't want to make any promises at this stage because of the big flip-flop we had in big flip-flopping we had in December, and we all know how that turned out. So I don't want to call anything this stage, but there are encouraging signs that there is cold potential returning within the next week or two, and we'll just have to keep an eye on what happens with that. Now, if we do have a look at the GM, see what that does up until day 10, you can see once again a northwesterly wind moving in, really quite chilly over the next few days, before we see again high pressure building in over the top of the UK. Now, there's going to be some quite big milder sectors moving in. So, as I said, there's going to be a lot of up and down temperatures. We could see one day 5 degrees, the next day 11 or 12, and then the next day 5 degrees once again. So, it's going to be a lot of chopping and changing with the temperatures. So, just got to bear in mind that, of course, as we'll have a look at the ensembles at the end of the video, you can see it is really going up and down a lot. But you can see by early next week, we are in quite a big mild sector. Before a little bit of a colder sector moves in, but as the high pressure moves in, it generally is going to be in warmer, milder air. However, as we've seen with wintry high pressure systems, it's going to be pretty chilly underneath it with inversion. Again, it's too difficult to say at this stage whether it's going to be a cloudy high or a sunny high. Definitely would prefer a sunny high. We had a bit of a cloudy high in December, which was really quite frustrating. But it is looking high pressure dominated. And towards day 10, if we do have a look at the pressure, you can see all that blue that we have had across northern Canada is shifted further eastwards. Now, there's no guarantee it's going to turn cold, but you can see the jet stream is shifted northwards over towards northern Canada. And you'd expect, with these low pressure systems lowering heights over the UK, you'd expect this low pressure to plunge southwards and eastwards, turning the jet stream at least to a northwest-southeast alignment, if not a northerly alignment, and it could go cold after that. So, again, another route to colder conditions. No guarantees at this stage, but just hints of it on the latest GEM run. And if we do have a look at the ECMWF, we'll see it does something similar for the midnight run. We do see quite cold polar maritime air masses moving over the next few days. Milder sectors returning next week, quite big milder sectors as we see with the upper air temperatures. Big mild sector moving in, warming things up quite considerably before high pressure built in. And right towards day 10, we see something very similar to the GEM run. Jet stream shifted a bit further northwards, all those blues of low heights returning more to the centre of the pole, if not towards Siberia, which would allow heights, higher pressure to rise. And you're seeing here, watch the isobars coming in from Greenland. So as I said again, likely to be a northwest-southeast alignment of the jet stream, with this higher pressure trying to build to the northeast of Canada. And, of course, if the low pressure plunged towards Scandinavia, towards Europe, we would be going colder. Maybe not a massive cold spell, but definitely could be a few days of colder conditions, widespread winteriness potential there. And you can see, once again, we're on the cuff of a really quite big cold front that's spanning across the North Atlantic. And once again, that high pressure building to northeast Canada towards Greenland, and that air is coming from this real big cold pool. So no guarantees at this stage, but just the GM and ECMWF showing the potential for some colder conditions toward day 10. And of course GFS doing its normal thing, showing some big contrasting colder runs from day 10 to day 14. Just something we need to keep an eye on, of course. Don't want to call it at this stage. Next 3 or 4 days we'll definitely have a much better idea what's going to be happening. But yeah, we've just got to see how it does play out at this stage. Now, if we do have a look at the ECMWF Ensembles, which are very good at looking at this is why I'm not too bullish with bitterly cold conditions towards the second half of January, because it still is very uncertain. It's very important to have a look at the ensemble members, because the operational run is just one scenario. The ensemble members show you all the different scenarios that there are. There definitely is a colder trend, but the exact details are very uncertain. If we go up to day 7, where things start to become a little bit more uncertain, you can see high pressure over the top of the UK. Jet stream shifted northwards, or at least splintered, a bit north, mostly northwards, and a little bit to our south. And that means we're centred over this high pressure system. Now if we go to day 10, that's where a bit of uncertainty comes in. We've got 16, including control run, with high pressure over the top of the UK, and to our east would be a bit of a southeasterly flow. Depending on exact air masses, could be chilly, a bit of inversion under that. Another 13, very similar conditions, maybe a bit further northwards with the higher pressure, again chilly easterly flow. Another 12, high pressure centred over to the south of the UK, could be dry, chilly in the south, but more of a westerly influence in the north. So it could be potentially a bit milder, depending on milder, colder sectors, and a bit more unsettled. And another 10 of high pressure centred over the top of the UK would be pretty much dry for all, but if you follow those isobars around the high pressure, maybe a bit more of a milder trend, especially in the north, but likely to be quite a big temperature gradient there. Now, if we go to 300 hours, this is where we see the big uncertainties. We have 21 or 41.2% with that mid-Atlantic ridge, northeast Canada towards Greenland, similar to what we saw on the ECMWF, also the GM run, GFS run, ridging towards Greenland. And you can see that with that, we would start to be bringing in a northerly or northeasterly wind. And that, again, that's what the GFS ECMWF operational runs were kind of showing. Another 17, including the control run, with a similar pattern, but heights not getting as much into Greenland, more of a northwesterly theme. Would still be reasonably chilly, probably, but nothing too crazy. Another 13, again, high pressure, more centred over the top of the UK, similar to what we'll be seeing next week. Maybe with it shifting further westwards, so maybe transitioning into a colder scenario. But you can see at this stage, none of the ensemble members are showing anything that would be typical of a bitterly cold pattern. Definitely cold enough for some wintry conditions, but nothing bitterly cold at this stage. And I know that's what some people are definitely looking for. So I'm not promising anything at this stage, just does generally look colder though. If we go right to the end of the run, you can see 21 or 41.2% of high pressure centred over to the north and the west of England. More of a northeasterly wind, but I suspect this is where the jet stream is trying to flatten the higher pressure. Maybe a bit of a toppling northerly or something similar to that. Another 17 of high pressure over the top or over in the middle of the North Atlantic, and we're seeing a northwest alignment of the jet stream. A lot of cold air towards Scandinavia would be bitterly cold there, and we'd be tapping into that air mass. So things could be cold, maybe snowy and wintry around as well, but by no means a traditional cold spell. Could be one of those scenarios we saw at the end of January 2019, where it was really cold for a good week or two, but from a northwest-southeast alignment of the jet stream, where it was quite marginal a lot of the time. And then another 13, high pressure centre over the UK, something similar we're going to be seeing next week, so nothing too strange there. So you can see no classic bitterly cold spells, but it will be cold enough with some of these scenarios to be seeing widespread colder than average conditions. Of course, colder than average conditions always brings in the potential for wintry weather. So no promises at this stage, but there is definitely a trend, especially day 7 to day 10, of things turning colder. And if we do have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see that really quite well. Now, over the next sort of 5 days, temperatures up and down, but generally below average. You can see upper air temperatures with the mild sectors getting to around average, and that's why we're going to be seeing snow over higher ground. And then towards 10th, 11th of January, towards the end of this weekend and start next week, big milder sector moves in, then a bit of a chillier sector, and then we see high pressure built in by the 13th of January, firmly in high pressure in around 7 days' time. And we see that high pressure continue. However, towards the last sort of bit of the run, so day 10, starting on 5th of January, 15th of January onwards, you can see those temperatures do start to drop quite considerably. That is the average of them, and you can see there are some bitterly cold runs. The majority, though, are just generally chilly, down to -5 N50 HPA. Nothing too exceptional, but would be cold enough for wintry conditions, similar to what we have now. And again, if it's sustained and from a north or easterly, it would be even colder than what we have now. And that's just the trend we're seeing. No guarantees, of course, but that is the general trend. Of course, there are milder outliers because the average is touching on -5 towards the 19th, 20th of January. So definitely the last half is trending colder on the latest runs, but there still is a lot to be decided. If we do have a look at sea level pressure, which gives us a good indication, you can see high pressure building in firmly in the middle of next week, and then we see things slowly, a bit more uncertainty builds in, some staying quite high pressure, some staying lower pressure. Generally, trend is higher pressure, with some going low pressure, bringing that pressure level down. So it could be what we saw in those operational runs and the ECMWF Ensembles, where high pressure is still close by, but it's moving slightly to our west or our north, bringing in lower pressure and colder air from the north or the east. And that's just something we've got to keep an eye on, of course. If we do have a look at new snow deck spikes, you can see a few over the next few days, and no guarantees, but of course could be some wintry showers and maybe some front edge snow when we see colder air over the next day or two. No guarantees, of course, but the potential is there. Just like yesterday, where we saw a few flakes in the far southeast. Something similar to that could be happening over the next few days, and of course in the longer term, snow returning. One important thing we do have to look at is dew points, because it gives us a very good indication of where the air mass is coming from. Generally, when we do have bitterly cold air in from the north, the dew point is really quite low because it's coming either from a continental direction, where a lot of drier air in off Europe and from Siberia, or it's coming from direct northerly from the North Pole, taking quite a short sea track, or shorter sea track, let's just say. So dew points are still quite low, and you can see dew points are quite low the next couple of days when we have that really cold polar maritime air mass, as the bitterly cold air has travelled quite a long way, but it originated as sort of like -20, -25 degrees at 50 HPA towards northeast Canada. So it was bitterly cold air a day or two ago, but it's warming up substantially. But if we do look longer term, you can see some are going brutally cold, -5, -10 degree dew points, which would be real Arctic air, real cold. So again, just showing the hints are there in the longer term, but definitely some members and operational runs are now showing something much colder for the second half. If it does come off, we'll have to see. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe for you, and I'll see you again for another video soon.